There we go. Hello, everybody. Let's make sure the sound. What is the sound? Yes, excited. That's not going to be good sound. Let's see this. Let's do this. And let's see if that shows up, everybody. Don't worry, fixing the sound. Be a little better, but not what we're looking for. Hi, everybody. Tom Caldabiano here. Everybody loves Raymond. 360 on a Sunday. Talking all things Everybody Loves Raymond. Okay, come on. Sorry, everybody. My super fancy schmancy audio equipment is not showing up. Why? Why don't you want to show up? All right, well, that is recording. Let's see that. Let's do that. It is recording, but it's not showing up. Do I have another cable handy? I do. Well, let's see here. All right, I'm going to shut that off and turn it on again. Unfortunate. Bear with me, everybody. Tom Caldabiano here on a Sunday. But it's worth it on the replay to get the good audio. Okay, turn that off, turn that back on. Now let's see if the fancy schmancy machine shows up. Bingo. There we go. All right, now we're talking. All the good mics are now hooked up. And let me hit record. Tom Caldabiano here, Sunday, talking all things Everybody Loves Raymond. Let's turn this volume up. Let's turn this volume up. Let's look. This is track 2, so that can probably use a little bit of a boost there. Do that and do that. And now, okay, here we go. Now, let's pretend that we're starting fresh. Oh, and completely out of focus, too. There you go. There you go. Lots of technical, shouldn't be this many technical problems. Let's touch this here. See, the problem is when you go fancy, you tend to have problems. And when you go simple, you don't have those problems. Okay, so how we sounding, everybody? Let's say some hellos. Hello, snowy New York. Yes, everybody, let's catch up here. Hello, Tom. Hello, everybody. Hello, snowy New York. What does that say? You're a bit blurred? Yeah, I look like I was crazy blurred there. Because I couldn't see the screen. I had a different screen up. All right, let's go and do that. So Instagram people, now you will see me in the uncomfortably close. I don't know why that box is there. That's very interesting now. Hello, Virginia. Hi, Carol in Virginia. Hi, Thomas. Now you should have that Instagram feed. Everybody, we're going to talk all things Everybody Loves Raymond. I want to, and of course, as usual, we have the canister here, which is always good to taste from which to taste, yeah. Wow, it's kind of bright. Looks kind of bright today. Let me do this thing. Let me just do this a little bit. There we go. A little bit less blown out. Okay. There we go. I have a few questions that I wanted to answer. I see so many questions, and you know, I feel bad because I have to do our studio's almost done, and I have to do a bunch of shows that are here's the how we make a whole episode. Here's how, because a lot of the answers that I give, many of the people have heard before. But since we have, we're almost going to hit 75,000. We are growing leaps and bounds, and I really appreciate it because I have to say, there's a lot of sites that people send me. They're like, hey, look at this. Is this answer correct? No. Hey, is this correct? No. And I don't want to go on and correct everybody, but sorry, on different sites, because that just seems annoying to everybody. So I do, though, want to get out the correct information. I think a lot of the reasons that we are growing leaps and bounds is you know that I worked on the show. And as far as I know, everything that I say is correct, at least to my memory. So that's, I think, helping us. We're legit. That's the short way of saying it. Okay. All right, let's say some more hellos. Hello, hi in California. Hello from Rochester, New York. Now, Rochester, New York, does it snow there? You're not like Buffalo. Poor Buffalo. Buffalo, for those of you who are in other countries, Buffalo Bills lost in a football game yesterday, and Buffalo Bills have this long storied history of getting this close to victory and then losing by a heartbreaking margin for years. And I want to say, people will correct me, they'll know, I want to say they made it to 4 Super Bowls and lost all 4. Correct me if I'm wrong, football fans, but Buffalo, New York is also known for having lake effect snow, which I don't know that Rochester has that, because Rochester is way, way up in New York, but not over by the lakes. And so Buffalo, New York would have incredible snow falls, etc. So I don't know if you have it, Donna, if you have snow effect. Okay, yes, scrolling through, deciding what I want to bring up or not. Hi, Deb Tucker Frank. Hi. Did any of the main ELR cousins ever audition for a role on Frasier? I don't know. I mean, we know that Tom McGowan was on Frasier. I don't know. I'd have to ask Brad Garrett. I would be shocked if Peter Boyle would ever go up. You know, once you reach a Doris Roberts stature, you know, you generally don't do that many guest spots. It all depends. You know, so much of Hollywood is about perception and heat and making sure that your name, you know, your name is mentioned in this way and not that way, and et cetera. And one of the best things I heard about that, and I think I've touched upon this in the past, the subject, but Jeremy Stevens, one of our writers, which inspired our cookie testing, he said, you know, people will find you. Now, meaning if you know this at your job. If you guys, let's say somebody works and you have a really, really good performer at work who doesn't clamor for accolades, you still know who he is. And if you're not filled with a jealous rage over their good performance, and in fact that helps you, them performing well, you will seek them on your next project. And Jeremy Stevens was talking more specifically about plays. When you get who gets top billing, who's this. When you go to see a play, you are blown away by the performance. You don't go, you know, that understudy was phenomenally good, but he's just an understudy, so I'm not going to take notice of him. But in Hollywood, it means money. And so if there's a perception of, because again, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors in Hollywood, if the perception is, oh my gosh, their career is on the downslope. Why? Because their billing is below Steve McQueen, and Steve McQueen is whatever it is. How's that for an old reference? So that, going back to Deb's question, did somebody, you know, would Peter Boyle audition for a small part on Frasier? No. If they said, hey, we have an idea for a big story arc, meaning we'd like to do 27 episodes with you, Peter Boyle, then he might. Or a special thing like X-Men. If he really likes that role and the show is really hot, then they might go for it. So excellent question. Excellent question. Hello. Okay. Are the Patriots playing yet? No. So there's no, okay, so again, for people out of the country, we're getting close to the Super Bowl, which means it's every single weekend. We narrow it down until there's 2 final teams, and I think the Super Bowl might be whatever that Sunday is, February 8th, 7th, somewhere in there. And it's the biggest, it's pretty much the only event that we have in our country that as many people as you could possibly watch an event. There are people who hate sports and hate football, but still watch the Super Bowl. So we're now coming up. I think we are down to two, four. So there's two teams playing today. The Patriots, which are mentioned, was a team that dominated. So let's go back. The Patriots is a football team, and they were kind of a joke. And I remember my friend Bobby Bellozzi, who has Villa Italia Bakery. Back, I want to say, you guys will know, New England fans who are screaming at me right now. Back in 2000, 2001, 2002, he said, Tom, I've been going to the Patriots game, and if they go to the Super Bowl, I get a ticket. And I said, well, that sounds laughable because I don't think, have they ever been to the Super Bowl? The Patriots are terrible. And then they went on a tear with a quarterback named Tom Brady, and then they won more Super Bowls than anybody. And so then all of a sudden the Patriots weren't a joke. Tom Brady left, and then they were in the cellar, and now they are back again in playoffs today, and a few other teams. Okay, that's the end of my briefing for people from other countries to know that what we're up against right now is the playoffs, the football playoffs. Watching. Hi, Annabelle. Let me bring you up as my friend. Howdy, Tom and everyone. I was sick last Sunday. Was able to hear from the phone plugged in by the bed. That sounds very much like you have a rotary phone and you called in somewhere. But your iPhone or whatever, I don't want to cast aspersions for those Android people out there. I got better, but now I have the flu in the house, so I couldn't go to Limehoff today with Kim. Yes, so apparently there was going to be a little bit of a trip to the Long Island Museum of Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame, where the Everett Brothers Raymond set is for a year. Folks, take advantage of that. Part 1 and Part 2 reunion show took place. The cast was there. I don't see a difference between the original set and that set, and I spent a lot of time on that set and looking at that set, etc. So let's see. Let me see. Deb Tucker, which of Uncle Mel's 4 episodes generated the most laughs on set and why? So that's a good question. Okay, so I posted a picture of Uncle Mel. Uncle Mel is Phil Leeds. You know what? Let me take did I even pour my tea? Oh, hold on. Hold on. Important matters to tend to, folks. My tea is back here. I got to reach. And then pour it. This has been steeping for a long time. Okay, try not to spill it. Here we go, pouring it. Okay. And what tea do we have today, Tom? Today we're back to Old Faithful, which is, hit the mic, Harney & Sons English Breakfast Tea. There you go, Harney & Sons English Breakfast Tea. Loose tea. So I'm drinking it out of the Favorite Quotes mug. Nice, I tried it. I tried being nice, didn't care for it, okay? That's called slurping tea in front of a microphone. Okay, so my phone, I have my iPad too. That's even better. Pulling the iPad. Let's hope that the battery is there. So Phil Leeds is a character actor who was in a lot of shows. Okay, no battery. So let's go back to plan B, which is the phone. The phone. Okay, let's go back, Tom, here. Going to this from all of my accounts. Phil Leeds with Phil Rosenthal. There we go. For those of you at home, I'm holding up a photo that I posted on Instagram and Facebook of Phil Leeds with Phil Rosenthal sitting next to him. Phil, one of the Phils not looking super happy, the other one extremely happy. So he was a legend, and Phil brought him in for, I know some of you thought maybe he was in the earlier episode. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I've been wrong twice in my life. He was in Turkey or Fish. He comes in and he says that fish smells like a punch in the face when he walks in. So that there was some argument. Voracious isn't correct. Veracity. Does that mean truth? Okay. There was a big fight, people. What was the first episode he was in? It wasn't a big fight. It was a friendly discussion. But Turkey or Fish, I believe, was his first episode. And then I think he was in the anniversary episode, Robert's wedding episode, and then the one with Tia Serena, who he comes in. I think he did 4 episodes total. And the truth is, Deb, off of your question, Phil Leeds he just delivered home run lines. We gave him funny lines, and coming from Phil Leeds, they were always very funny. He delivered these home run lines. So I don't remember, the first time we heard him say that fish smells like a punch in the face. Everybody, you can hear. That's our laughter. That's our genuine laughter that you can hear in the show. Okay, let's see. Let's scroll on. So I'm sorry, Annabelle. I hope you feel better. Yes, thank you, Mona. I was sick for the longest time. The most annoying cold that didn't feel like a cold, yet it would wipe me out. And a lot of people where I work had it as well. Hello, Cleveland. Hello there. I'll bring you up. Yes, still trying to figure out Deborah's dress. I think the one where they all meet Amy's parents, Austin White Ewing. Okay. Deborah's dress. Let's go with Deborah's dress. Where is Deborah's dress? Let's do. So this is what I've realized, because a lot of times I'm busy and I'm posting as many photos. I'm trying to post more photos per day, and sometimes I don't necessarily answer the question right away, and people are like, "What's the answer?" But not everybody sees it when I post it. So somebody who sees it 4 hours later, it's already been answered. Okay, so there's Patty's dress. Come on. Yes, there is Patty. That is the PTNA episode. Why do I know that? Because that's what my negative says when I label it initially, and it's on the proof sheet. The other episode, so this is where you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I might adjust the camera up just a hair. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can do that. Get ready for an unbelievable close-up. Here we go. Let's just do this as tight, and let's go up a little bit more, and then do that. Yeah, a little bit better. Okay, better for my eyeline. And then just straighten it out just a bit. There we go. Okay. For those of you following at home, I'm on a Really Right Stuff, a BR55, I think it is, a nice ball head, which I can adjust everything. So Patty was in that PTNA, which makes sense because she could look a little trampy in that dress. Yes, don't yell at me. I'm just saying Raymond's interpretation of that could be a little bit trampy because it's a really slinky dress. But a lot of you brought up a really good point, which is, why would she wear that dress to the Halloween, the Thanksgiving, to the McDougalls? I mean, of all people, to wear that dress. An excellent question. When Mary Ellen Boucher comes back on, we will put a bright light on her and ask her why. Why would you possibly have Deborah wearing that dress to a super religious household? Makes no sense, unless Deborah's trying to get their goat, as they say. That could be. So Austin, I hope that answer your question. I don't think she wore it to where we all meet Amy's. Now, I have the luxury of, because I have access to all my photos, I can instantly check. Could I even check now? I don't want to waste time checking now. But usually this is where you guys are way better than me, because you're watching the episodes a lot, etc. So let's see. Tom McGowan, who played Bernie, played Kenny Doherty, the station manager. Yes, Donnell. So when he was a guest, thank you, Donnell, the always trustworthy fountain of information. I truly appreciate it. So Tom McGowan, who went to Hofstra University out in Long Island with Phil Rosenthal, and Monica Horan was also there, and Carrie Parker went there as well, and Susie Varon, who was a waitress in Nemo's. When Tom was a guest here, he talked about having to figure out how to get from the Everose Raymond studio, which is in Burbank, to the Fraser studio, which is in Hollywood. And so it's a luxurious problem to have. It's just like Maggie Wheeler is on Friends and Everose Raymond. A good problem to have, commuting between hit shows. Hi, Anne Marie. Let me see. By the way, Happy New Year, everybody. Yes, Paul. I think you can still say that without people biting your head off. Okay. How did the writers decide Uncle Mel would be Frank Barone's brother? And was it always the plan for him to be a recurring character? So excellent question again. Yeah, I'm going to guess that was 100% Phil Rosenthal. Because Phil is such a student of old sitcoms and sitcoms in general. So my guess would be that was his idea. We'll have to ask him when he is on again. Austin, you're talking about your post earlier today. Yeah, Patty with her dress in the dresses. Let's see. Hi, Tom. Yes, the Patriots are playing, and it is now in the third quarter. What? All right. I did not know that. I thought it started at 3:30, something like that. So I have lost most of New England then to that. So I am. Okay, these are score updates I'm getting, everybody. I do appreciate it. When Patricia went on the Star in a show called The Middle, Ray Romano guest starred on The Middle. Yes, Jason, I was there for that. You know, I have to find my photos from when Raymond was on that show. And I don't know, I haven't seen those photos. I think I have one of Patty. No, that might have been a pilot she was shooting. I have one of me in the mirror with her shooting that. Let's see this. Hi, Tabitha. Hi, Susan Stoppanato. Yeah, don't worry, I'm going to get to everybody. We're getting ready to bear down in an hour. Yeah, so the Chicago Bears, a storied team, is playing the Los Angeles Rams, also kind of a storied team. They're playing in a little bit, so I can't believe I missed the Patriots game. Hi, Tabitha. Hi, Tom and everyone. Have you answered these two questions that I had last week? I loved how Peter Boyle dressed up Halloween as a nod to Young Frankenstein character, and other episodes he singing karaoke bar. Did you have stories how these two things came to be in the show? Yeah, so the Halloween episode written by Steve Skrovan, Halloween Candy, they wanted to do a bit of an homage to him in Young Frankenstein. If you haven't seen Young Frankenstein, I suggest you see it. It is a comedy classic. Why haven't you seen it yet? And then 6 Feet Under is the episode where he sings karaoke. That was written by myself and Steve Skrovan and Cindy Shupak. I had the initial idea for Raymond shrinking and finding out that he's not 6 foot tall. So that we knew that Peter could sing, and we thought, oh, that's a good callback. Callback is when you set something up. It's more applied to comedians when you're telling something at the beginning and then you reference that back a little bit later in your act. That is a callback, but it's a good reference so people knew that he had that dream, had a dream of singing. And so that was great. We filmed it, and you can see I'm in the audience. Steve Skrovan's in the audience when he says, "Thank you, ladies and gentlemen." My wife thinks I'm in the bathroom. We're panning in that nightclub that we made on the stage. So that's the answer to those. Those are very good questions. I really appreciate it. Watching Last Night Live by mistake instead of the last one. Yes. Now, Karen, you had a blonde moment. Oh, I feel bad for all the blondes, but we know what you mean, and also we are not so uptight that you're not allowed to do comedy here. Where are you watching last week's, Karen? Are you watching on YouTube? Because just FYI, everybody, we do have a TikTok channel, Instagram, YouTube, etc., and our studio. Our studio is almost done, where I will start doing the official podcast. And I'll take any suggestions for decorations, etc. If you guys want to see it, if you want to participate, I will share photos. Let me see if I have a blank, a photo. Right now, it feels like, well, here I am. Here I am with my friend last night inside the studio. I'm 6'4". He is 6'7". So we look incredibly. It looks like it's a very small room, but it's actually not, and it's actually much bigger there. So we are going to take any suggestions. We're going to, of course, the trusty canister will be there. It's the same space where we interviewed Eric Pinkowski. Okay. Where did you watch it? Yes, that was my pending question. Okay. Regarding Frasier and ELR, hi, Donnell. Let me bring you up without hesitation. Regarding Frasier and ELR, don't forget Kim, who painted some of the frog paintings and other set pieces, also painted some of the iconic paintings in Frasier's apartment. Yes, I completely forgot that, Donnell. So Kim was a guest here, and she was in set dressing, which means set dressing is responsible for, that's what I have to do for my little podcast studio. So, excellent. Thank you, Donnell. I completely forgot that. I wish I grew up in Long Island. Need to get back there to see the set. Anne-Marie, were you born in Long Island to get back there? Let's see this. The sad thing, I was so excited to finally be on time from the beginning. Yes, well, don't worry, we weren't on time. And by we, I mean me. Yes, Old Faithful. T. Yes, T. Hi, Susan. Lots of static. Are we hearing lots of static? I don't see any indication of static. So let me know if you guys hear static. Let me just post this, keeping going. There's a couple other things that I want to talk a little bit for that I see some questions about it. Let me see this. Let me see this. All right, a little hot. Tom's a little hot. Is that a little better? Is that any better? Okay. Okay, here we go. Everybody. Let me see that. I have such a pet peeve about good sound, so I hate it. Okay, let me unplug this mic. All right, is that any better, everybody? Now we're just on one microphone. Okay, the episode again. Let me scroll back up. Let me scroll back. Yes, aren't you going to introduce me to this exquisite woman? That was the Anna, the Tia Serena one. The episodes were on a couple days ago, starting with the can opener through about the sister. The episode looks so different than the rest. Soft focus, soft lighting. Always wondered why. Which one? The can opener through the sister? Kathy, that is an excellent, excellent question. Hold on, let me do this. Hopefully the sound is better. Okay. Let me do this. Let me turn this down. So that's never been brought up, and I will have to ask. Who will I ask? Ken Shapiro. I can ask Ken Shapiro. Should I ask Ken Shapiro? Here, folks, hold on one second. You're going to hear a little that, and I'm going to turn that down. So if it is staticky. Okay, here we go. Hi, Tom. So glad to see you are better. Thanks for coming on. Yes, 100% better, I think. Fans were convinced Alex Maness was really Italian because of her accent. Do you know if she worked with a dialogue coach? Another excellent question. Yeah, Alex Maness lived in Italy, so she was a model. Hard to guess that. That's not a big leap. She's very attractive. So she was a model and she lived in Italy for I forget how long. So she did not need a dialogue coach, but that would have made sense for any other normal person. Hello, St. Louis, Missouri. How are you doing? Hope you are fine. Let's see this. Let's see this. Doing this and now doing this. Which is Stefania's storyline was inspired by the true event. Yeah, that, let me see. Let me go back to that. Were most of the episodes based on the stories from anyone on the set? No, 0 stories other than Raymond. And when I say that, it's just the way the information flowed. So I've said in the past, if Brad Garrett or Patty or Peter or Doris said, hey, Phil, I have an idea, this happened to me, Phil would totally have welcomed it. It just never happened. And it'd be interesting to ask Phil, but I just know the dynamic would be, it's interesting because, there was a different, so now, like with The Office, especially the American version of The Office, you had a lot of writers who were on camera. Just really didn't happen before then. Just was like you were either a writer or you were on camera for the most part. Seinfeld is like the exception, who was, on camera and writing, but for the most part, they didn't. Those lines didn't cross. So, from Diane, boy, are you hard to find. What does that mean? On Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Interesting. Yes, Karen, she had lived in Italy as a model. Yes, 100%. I read on her wiki page that she was a model in Italy for a few years before getting into acting. Yes, I will have to find our old interviews where she told that story in person. Let me see. Also, wasn't she dressed in red on the occasion of the 10th anniversary? Is that a social faux pas, the red? Or is that the dress? You're saying that's the same dress. That I wouldn't know. The dress in AIS with her curling board was way more revealing compared to the PTNA dress. That one looked like a slinky nightgown. Joe, you're speaking as a man, but I think what you're saying is, A, I agree with you, but B, I think it's because it's formal. So it's acceptable in polite company. And so the PTA outfit is not acceptable except for near the entrance to the Lincoln Tunnel. Like that's where you could pull that off. So those of you in New York will know that reference. Yes, hi, Karen. My husband, Bob, also went to Hofstra. We bonded over that with Phil when we met. Yes, Phil is very proud of the Hofstra connection. Let's see. How's the sound, everybody? Is it a little bit better? Uncle Mel is a riot, yes. I never thought Uncle Mel was actually an uncle, but someone who is close to the family, so affectionately called uncle. Yes, that's what I thought too, but I could be wrong. Great Uncle Mel. Yes, the mystery continues. Okay, hold on, folks. Let me have a little bit more tea here. Wow, did I drink all that tea? Oh, no, I didn't pour that. That's why. Sorry, folks. Okay. Here we go. There was another question. Let's see. Love the extra thick odor eaters. 2 birds with 1 stone. Yes. One of the best tags in the series, yes, was the, okay, wow, let me scroll down. Holy moly, I haven't caught up. Okay, let me go back. Let me scroll here, looking at, let me check Instagram for a second, because I've completely missed them. Oh, back to blurry, here we go. I love that. I can hear you well in Ohio. That might be my favorite comment of the day. Sound was fine, now it's not as loud. Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, let's do this again. How's that? How's that, everybody? Okay. Let's see. Okay, I don't need help with my tasks. Those are always questions. All right, back to Facebook. Wouldn't it be Frank's? Now we have to do a genealogy tree, which I could put my sister on that. She's very good at that. Tom, you mentioned last Sunday that when you started in ELO, you worked for $400 a week for 3 weeks, being $1,200. Did you write for any other sitcom before you were writing for ELR full-time? I was doing stand-up comedy full-time. My last gig was in, let me see now, I did Nags Head, North Carolina. I was just starting to headline Nags Head North, the Carolinian. It's a hotel that I think has been knocked down, is my guess. The Carolinian for a booker named Anita Fletcher. So I did a lot of shows in North Carolina, Virginia, and then I think Rascals, West Orange, New Jersey, were my last stand-up comedy gig. Same with Raymond. We both moved out together, and stand-up was the last thing. So no, is the subtext, as we would say, $1,200 is not a lot of cash. A month, everybody. But Ray and I shared an apartment and a car, and so that helped a lot. So, which is very good. Let's see, Peter Boyle's singing voice. Yeah, we knew Peter was a good singer, so we definitely had them. Hi, Deb Tucker. I do want to. Let me see. Iconic line. Fans of Absolute Love. Stefania says, annoying. Did you know when reading the scripts, the line like "It's annoying you have a hot dog" would become so iconic? Yeah, no idea. That's Alex Meneses. That's Alex Meneses hitting it out of the park and just being phenomenal. And as we've said in the past, when people are like, why don't you have this person on more or this person on? I was running through my head of A Date for Peter, where people are like, that would have been a great storyline. 100%. If we could have continued the show, that would have been a great storyline. And in watching A Date for Peter, you know, that's one of the later episodes in the series. As funny as any episode in the entire series. I mean, we were really hitting on all cylinders. So sad that it had to end. Let's see. Hi, Deb. A Christmas tree up behind somewhere in the corner and decorated with lights. So it looks like soothing, or some type of lights in the background with plants. Yes, that what you saw is, I think we should have some, as Joe said, are they Christmas lights all year round? I don't know. You know, I look at the bar of Rayo's, and they're up, and I feel like it's got, everything is Christmassy in that place. So, yeah, could you call them white twinkle lights? If you asked 1,000 people from the United States to describe the lights, would they say the word Christmas in it? Probably. But that is a good idea. Yeah, what you are seeing is what's known as a set with flats, etc., and it's just a bare bones. Nothing has been done to it. So, let me see. Yes, a fork and spoon on the wall. I have that. That will go up as well. A good friend of mine in New York on Long Island, that's where he lives, he went with his sister-in-law and cousin yesterday and posted 40 pictures. Are they Raymond fans? They must be Raymond fans. That would be very interesting. Raymond fans. For them, I mean, 40 pictures makes sense. The episode where Deborah gets the hair stuck in her hair and Ray leaves without her, how did they have the hair thing stay in her hair? They tied Ralph Abelos, the head of the hair department, tied brown thread, used brown thread to tie it to Patty's hair. That was it. Yes, Anne-Marie, you were born there. Wish I could get back there. So were you taken hostage and out of Long Island? You're leaving out the part where you moved at 3, at 7, at 10, and you don't have to answer any of my questions. Will the National Comedy Center eventually have the permanent home for the ELR archive or the ELR set? That is a very good question. So, you know, all of these things are non-profits, and so it's not like anybody's making money on them. So everything is a matter of somebody stepping up and trying to make it happen. So the Limehoff, the Long Island Museum Music Entertainment Hall of Fame, that happened because Kevin, who is their artistic director, made a call to Rory Rosegarden, and that got the ball rolling for that. There's some people from the Comedy Center who saw the Paley exhibit, and they're like, well, this would be interesting. That's before the set. The set is a huge piece of real estate, meaning if you're going to make the set and relocate it, you need a giant space. You need a space as big as the Barone living room, etc. Okay. Bob, thank you. Reference to Steely Dan song, No Static at All. I love that reference. Thank you, Bob. Hi from Massachusetts, jumping on quick during the commercial during the Patriots game. Oh, wow, why did I think? I can't believe I've missed all this football. Frasier has the most expensive sets of all sitcoms. I read. I love the sets in the show. I always laugh out loud at Kelsey Grammer. Complimenting another show. Interesting, Deb. I thought we had an understanding. Had the honor of meeting them both in the past as well. The actor who played Gil on the show. Really down to earth. Guys, yeah. Yes, Frasier was a phenomenal show. And we've let the bitterness go, but they won the Emmy. When we first started, we were never even in contention, it seemed, because Frasier was just dominating. I can't speak to the cost of the sets. I know that once you have a hit show and everybody knows that they are the ones that are making money, then chances are you are going to get approval for any dollar amount you want for pretty much everything that you can possibly imagine. Let me see this. Did Alex Meneses agree that Stefania was annoying? How did you feel about character storyline? Yeah, when you're the actor, you don't have any say in the storyline per se. You know, you're a guest actor, so Phil Rosenthal tells the story that there was an actor on a sitcom that he worked on, and the guy complained all the time. And so the showrunner said, we will write him out. We will send him in the storyline to Africa and let this guy, this ungrateful, complaining guy, do sitcom pilots for the rest of his life. And that actor was George Clooney. George Clooney was written out of a show. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having George Clooney on your show and going, we have to get rid of him. He is a pain in the tuchus. We don't want him around anymore. So Alex Meneses, who is, extremely nice person, she saw the storyline. She can't say, Phil, I do not want to be annoying. I want to be lovable and liked, etc. And one thing that I did want to speak to is I see on a lot of sites a lot of complaints about Deborah being a terrible person and like so many very vicious attacks on her. You must have conflict in a sitcom. No conflict is not funny. A story without conflict is not interesting. You telling the story, I've said this many times in the past, you telling the story of being in high school and being so unbelievably beautiful that you're the homecoming queen, and then you win the lottery and you marry your high school sweetheart and you have 6 kids and you have nannies who take care of them, etc. That is a very, very nice lifestyle and a very, very boring story. So Deborah has to be frustrated at Marie. Ray has to be lazy and not pay attention. And by the way, it's not that uncommon for men to not be as aware as wives and to be hypochondriacs, etc. So there you go. Okay. Yes, Bob Silva, to answer Lynn Van Orden's question, Julie Haggerty, and what's bizarre is I mentioned Dom DeLuise in one of my past ones that I was friends with him. And I was at Dom's house one Sunday dinner, and she was there, Julie, because she was on, I think, was it the movie Airplane? Help me, Bob. Help me out with facts. She said, so I knew her from there. So I'm sitting there across the table from her, and, oh, what do you do, Tom? Oh, I'm a writer. This was when the show was on. I'm a writer on Everybody's Raymond. Boy, I feel bad for Instagram. Sorry. Just fix my hair a little bit and move a little bit back from the... There we go. The problem is, folks, I've explained this before, there's something called an aspect ratio. So Facebook is landscape, so you see more of my shoulders. And on Instagram, it is a vertical aspect ratio, so it is just my noggin. So Julie... She says to me, oh, I was on Everybody's Raymond, and I'm thinking, oh boy, I should know this because I do know, I'm pretty familiar with the show, and she played the boss very well. Thank you, Bob. That's who played the boss. Did Ray and Patricia Heaton's real-life husband, the dreaded Parker, get along? Did they get along? Hold on one second. This is I drink so much tea because, folks, try talking for an hour to your friends without them answering. You wouldn't have friends very long because it would be called monologuing. Very tough to experience. Turning on my mug heater. Yes, David Hunt and Raymond got along very well. Did they see each other that often? Not that often. You know, when you think about it, Patricia Heaton had 4 children during the show. She had 2, and then she had 2 more during the series. So she was raising 4 boys. And for anybody who's raised 4 boys, it's a bit of a challenge. So you're not like, it's not the single life where they're hanging out, etc. You want, especially Patty, I have a lot of pictures of Patty asleep on the set, napping because she's just exhausted. And so there wasn't that socializing time. There was, I'm done with work and now I'm going to race home so I can nap, so I can stay up, etc. So, all right, let me slow this down a little bit. How are we on time? Wow, the time flies, you guys. It flies. So for the podcast, we're going to analyze every single episode. We're going to go through the series. But this And when I think about any podcast I listen to for a show, there's so many things that you miss during the analysis of the episode. But I think that's the way for us to do it. I'll talk about the beginning of the show, and then we'll go through every single episode. And I know this does. I try and stay above the fray, because if you are online, there are so many attacks of everything. Forget even politics. Just very opinionated people, and I see a lot of people writing. The first season was terrible, unwatchable, not one good episode. And then I go, well, what about Look, Don't Touch with Angelina? Okay, that one was pretty good. How about Why Are We Here? Where Ray moves in across from Frank and Marie. Okay, that one was pretty good. What about, and so yes, was season 5 better than season 1? 100%, zero dispute. The pilot is an exceptionally funny episode, etc. So, but when you do it in order, you're going to have to go through the first season. So I'm debating whether to alternate between analyzing an episode and then just doing one of our Q&A periods and putting that up. Okay, Paula. In an episode like Mia Familia, what does the audience see when the cast is speaking Italian? The audience laughs, but I'm guessing not everyone is Italian. And why? And would they know what they're saying? I'm going to lean back in my chair and think about that one. So, Paula, you dare to stump me. I've been nothing but friendly to you. Okay, so there was not an interpreter as far as I know. I don't think they're seeing subtitles because they're at the dinner table, right? Which the mysterious dinner table that gets everybody so angry. Why is there a table between the living room and kitchen? And I always think, I've been to wealthy people's homes where they have to put the table, because there's 20 people for this event, in a different room. Because I guess, I don't know, unless you're Howard Hughes or something, do you have a table? Well, Howard Hughes is a bad example. He's wealthy, but he was a recluse. Who was William Randolph Hearst? I'm thinking of his castle, etc. So I'm really thinking hard, Paula. I don't remember subtitles, and I don't remember there being like an interpreter somehow. How would that even work? So I think they were going with the spirit of it. That's a great question. I'm going to have to ask everybody, because people, a lot of people go, I say, when did we crash the car through the house? Did we do it twice? And a lot of people go, I don't remember. You'd think you'd remember a car crashing through the house. So this is a subtle one. Excellent question, Paula. Hi, Tabitha. The actor Len Lessler, who played Frank's friend and always was excited to Ray, he did the same greeting with Seinfeld, yeah. Was it Phil Rosenthal who wanted Les to do the same greeting? I loved it because it reminded me of his Seinfeld character, and you knew the audience laughed at him when he was thinking it too. I think that was something that Len Lesser did to get more screen time, because when you get a laugh, the showrunner is going to be like, let's put that in. And I used to do that impression of Len Lesser. Hey, Ray's here. It always made us laugh. Okay, so let's see this. She was for, yes, let me bring up. That was a great question. Great question for Raymond. My guess would be Len did it himself, is the final thing. Tom, watching ELR and Frasier, did you know any writers from Frasier? 11 years on NBC. Frasier won 37 ELR. 37 Emmys. ELR won 15. Rubbing salt in the wound. So it's funny because a lot of shows win Emmys that are not necessarily. It depends what's going on, except for the Emmy totals, There's a guy who didn't win an Emmy at all, and he's pretty good. That was Jackie Gleason. Never won an Emmy. So did I know any of the writers? So there was only one time when we would go. So Brad Garrett mentions on the 30th anniversary show. either part one or part two, that the cast would go to a place called Columbia Bar and Grill. Well, we did, but it was called Pinot Hollywood at that point. Columbia Bar and Grill was in that location. But when he said it, I go, oh, that's wrong. But then I realized, okay, he gets a pass because it was that, and it was famous as the Columbia Bar and Grill. One of those times, the Frasier writers and the Raymond writers were in the same location, drinking in the same location. And I think there was a comedian named Ron Darien, and I think you guys can look it up. He might have written on Frasier, because I worked with him doing stand-up at a college years and years ago, and he was there. And one thing about Frasier, they were very formal, and they always were. I know I'm wearing a suit jacket. I figured I might as well get dressed up at least. They all wore suit jacket. Like Phil didn't have any dress code for the show. He would wear a suit jacket. You know, he's the leader, and it seemed appropriate. But Phil wasn't like, I need all the writers to be in jackets. I need you to wear these white shirts, and I need here's your marching orders. So, but I did not know any of those writers. I think Tucker Cawley wrote with them on another show, on another another series with the same writers, and Cindy Shupak wrote on Modern Family, and so some of them were the showrunners, I think, or one of the showrunners ran Frasier, etc. So, okay, let me catch up here. She was an airplane, but that's not important right now. Yes, Gil, thank you. Funny. Excellent use of comedy there, Gil. I appreciate it. Thank you, Bob. Let me see. I couldn't find you on Instagram or YouTube. This is from my sister. Do you want me to text you, Diane, when I'm about to go live? That would solve the problem, because I probably came on late. Because when I sign on, a lot of times I sign on and there's an update to StreamYard. This is called boring stuff that nobody needs to hear, but I'm sharing it with you anyway. Hi, Anne-Marie. I moved away 8 years ago, and I will go back eventually. Thank you. And I apologize for any peppering of tone. Hi, Tom. I watched one of my favorite episodes last night, the one with Ray and Marie on a cruise. Was this based on a true life event? Now, that's funny, because I can speak for Ray, maybe, and Phil, I don't know. But it wasn't like our favorite. We felt like it was kind of not bad, but it was a specific storyline, and so many people say that's their favorite, especially people who have a son. And you also see Marie flourishing, which is really good to see, out from under the thumb of the terrible Frank Barone. Was that inspired by true life, a real story? I don't know, but I know that Patty, I believe, was giving birth then. So I think there was an inspiration. I think Steve Scrovan and Susan Van Allen wrote that. Is that possible? You guys can look that up. Look at my memory. Fantastic. I will say, my friend had a showing, a gallery showing at a Leica gallery, and I ran into a famous photographer there, many famous photographers there, and a guy named David Bergman, who's a really good photographer. You look him up. And Nick Utt was there, too. You can look him up as well. But the last time I saw that guy, David Bergman, was in 2006. And he said, oh, there was a guy there who's a publicist for somebody. And I sat there and I thought, is his first name Michael? And my friend who was with me was like, how do you remember the first name of a guy you sat next to 20 years ago? And it just popped into my head. I don't know why, but there you go. Off the top of my head, Cruising with Marie, Steve Scrovan, and Susan Van Allen, I'm pretty sure. Here, I'll tell you a little point of trivia. In one of the episodes, speaking of that, because they shot that on another stage, they didn't go on a cruise ship, a little point of trivia. There's that scene in another episode, I just bragged about my memory, and I can't remember which episode this was, where Frank pushes the rowboat and Marie is gone, right, in the rowboat, and he stays on the dock. There was no water there. That rowboat is on wheels on a little tipsy thing. So the sound of water, a dock, your imagination fills in the rest. There you go. A little bit of trivia. All right, let me catch up on Instagram. Let's see if we've missed anything on Instagram. Scrolling Town. Tom, did you ever do a cameo on ELR? I remember Lou Schneider in Christmas Picture, but were you in any of those episodes? Yes, I think I was in 3 episodes. I was in 3 episodes. I was in Nemo's in the basketball team because Phil Rosenthal felt sorry for me because I was earning so little money. He said, I'll give you a line and that'll help you pay for food. And then I was in The Recovering Pessimist. I stood with Katarina Witt, and then I introduced Marv Albert, and then and I had a line there. But in the Robert's wedding episode, I played, believe it or not, a photographer. By the way, this here, I'm surrounded by my lenses because this one, look at this. How heartbreaking is this, folks? That is... It's only the cover, but I have to bring that to Nikon. That needs to be fixed. That's one. And then here's another one. I'm very hard on my camera equipment. Let's see, where is that? Oh yeah, that's really, you can't see it on Instagram. I gotta do it there. There? Let me see. There's a delay on Instagram, so I have to wait for it to come up. There we go. Okay. I played a photographer because much like when Phil told Lou to play snaps, he's like, you're going to play this part because I don't quite get it. And so that's what happened. So Phil's like, hey, I need photos for the end of the episode, the black and white photos that come up. So Tom, rather than you being in the way like you usually are, just become in the way. Does the network, hi Leo in Toronto, does the network or the show runner determine the length of each season? The network. The network, 100% all the time. The network has total control within reason. Having said that, we did 26 episodes one year. If the network said, Phil, can you do 40 episodes or 30 episodes? Then he can say no. But if they say, we're going to order 13, and he goes, I want to do 22. I'd like to do 25. They go, that's great, Phil. Why don't you shell out $2.6 million every week, and you can do it. So yes, the network holds all of the power. Let me see this. I like when we guess the episode on here, though it's very rare I guess right. Do I even have? Let me see. I have to pick one that we haven't seen. So for those that don't know, I saved a bunch of episodes from the dumpster. It's got to be an episode that I haven't done before. Let me see this. I can hold this up. You might not remember. So here, let me see that one. I think we did this one. I can't say the title because then it blows the surprise. Let's see. Patty looking good. What is this one? No. Okay, so that one we did already. All right, folks, bear with me because I have to taste the treat. I don't know what's in that treat yet. All right, let me go back to StreamYard, yes, and then screwing it over here, and then we see, let's see, what is this one? This one, did I do all these? I think I might have done all, oh wait, there's 2 more. The reason I say I'm pausing, etc., what is this one? Did I write this one? I think I wrote this one. Let's see. Of Ray and I think we already did this one. Yeah, I don't think I have any new scripts. But here, what I'm teasing you with is I'm paging through the wardrobe scripts, which I saved from the dumpster, and I usually hold them up and see if you can guess them. And this one I know we did because I was like, oh, I can't show this one because as soon as I show this one, then you will know the episode, and I will show you this. Picture, still going. Let's see. No, we missed one picture. I don't want to just say it. That's so interesting. Okay, yes. It's funny because Ray, no matter what episode, it seems, hitting the mic, that's what Raymond wears. So, hey, Ray was in a flannel shirt and a t-shirt. Okay. So, sorry, I think I have all of them that you have guessed before. I didn't pull up any new ones. Let me see what this one is. Yep, this one as well. Sorry, I'll show it to you, but we had Alone Time, Hacky Do. and a few others. When we watched the show years ago, we noticed a wooden carving by Frank and Marie's kitchen door. It looked exactly like my ex-husband grandpa's work. He sold his wooden carvings and artwork in Missouri and Kansas City. Any chance that anyone remembers where that came from, or if LD was signed on the back? Michelle. That's a really specific question. Okay, so chances are, we'll see if we can get Donna Stamps on here. She got a lot of the stuff from the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl has a flea market. In the parking lot of the Rose Bowl, I don't know, you guys can look it up. Maybe I've been there once, maybe it's every Sunday, every like first Sunday or something like that, one of those things. So, is there a chance? Yes, it's always possible. Kansas City, Missouri, I've heard of that. I've been there quite a few times. I will see, what you're seeing is a man thinking. How would we track that down? So I don't know. So I can ask Donna because she might know. Or maybe, I don't know how many pictures she took of things on the set, especially the underside. So let me see if I can find a close-up of that myself. So how well, okay, so I will go back and I'll say, here's what happens a lot. I have a lot of times when people go, hey, I saw Ray's brother on Sesame Street. No, you didn't. Oh, yeah, no, I did. And then I see it. I go, no, that's not his brother. Are you sure? Yep, I'm very sure. So a lot of people are like, hey, I saw that exact same thing where? And then you see it and you're like, that's nothing like. Or they go, I met a guy who looks exactly like you. And then you see a a hairy hunchback and you go, okay, well, I don't think that's me exactly. They're like, oh, you looked exactly like that. So I'm saying what I'm trying to get to is how accurate is your awareness, and can you send me a picture or share a picture? Oh, I keep forgetting to put my address up. I will do that right away. I will do that right away today. So I would love to see a picture of that sculpture. And I'm going to assume that it probably is, you recognize it, and that you're not going to say, oh, sorry, that sculpture is of King Kong, and my uncle or grandfather or whoever did only white zebras, which would be a horse technically. Okay, let me scroll down. Holy moly, let me catch. Oh my gosh, I missed a lot of comments. Speaking of Lone Time, is the postman the same actor that played the bank teller in The Checkbook? The postman. Who was the postman? The really good-looking guy who came in, who Ray thought he might be gay? I don't know. I don't know if that's the same person. Yes, everybody, if you're on Instagram and you can watch on Facebook, go to Facebook. I love the still pictures at the end of Robert's wedding. Thank you, Janet. You still didn't get your camera stuff to the camera. No, I have not. Yes, Deb. I haven't gotten my yard where the mudslide happened fixed, and I haven't been able to make it to Nikon. And I've been trying to go to Nikon since July. July is when I'm trying to get a day to drive to Nikon. I can mail it, but I like going there in person. I want to visit, if I can, with the director who directed the 30-year anniversary special, who lives down that way. You still didn't, yes, okay, scrolling up. Let's see, yes, Bob, I was typecast as a photographer. Don't forget that you were off camera. Karen. Yes, off camera and then on camera. So that's Karen. That's a really good point. What is the name of that episode? So there's a party, and we find out, it's not first time, right? It's the rattling. We hear the rattling and the party, etc. Is that the first time? So Ray has to shoot a bottle cap, and I'm the stunt double guy who can shoot a bottle cap. So I put on that really ugly flowered shirt, or very beautiful, depending if you designed it or not, and then I shoot that bottle cap into the vent. And so I was watching, and I told somebody, that's actually my arm, and they're like, oh, sure it is. And then, to my surprise, I almost fell out of my chair. I watched, and because of the change in aspect ratio that I talked about, aspect ratio is just how high versus how wide. And so it's a much wider, high def is a wider aspect ratio. Standard def is closer to a square. And so all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my full face is on camera. How did they miss it? How did they miss it in editing? It's crazy. That's why now you might see some I Love Lucy episodes. There's a couple of Raymond episodes where you see the end of the set, the flat. The picture I showed you earlier of my set, those are flats. They're just pieces of wood. I forget what it is, a 1x2 or something, and then just plywood on the face, and then, paling on it. So there you go. Thank you, Karen. Yes, I should be getting residuals from that. Okay, let me scroll up here. The one where Frank pushes Marie in the boat is the auction that Deborah makes jewelry chest that falls apart. Getting even. Yes, fantastic, Annabelle. I always can trust you. I love the rowboat scene after the auction. Yes, thank you. David, best dressed Frasier. Yes, very meticulous. Yes, absolutely. I can never find when when it starts. Tucker wrote on a subsequent show with Kelsey Grammer, he may have been the showrunner. Yes. So Joe, Tucker also wrote. There's a Henry Winkler sitcom that I think Tucker wrote on with the guys from Frasier. The show that Tucker created with Kelsey Grammer is a different show, and there were no Frasier writers on that, as far as I know. Ken Levine, yes. Did the children ever grow up in air on any other show? Did they ever? Were they ever on another show? That I don't know. I don't think so. Yes. Speaking of Jackie Gleason, you love Brad Garrett in portrayal in the movie Gleason. Yes, he was phenomenal. Were the twins' names different in the beginning? I remember thinking that was odd. Yeah, they were Matthew and Gregory, who just had a birthday. I just posted that picture. And Ray decided, I don't need them to have any more pressure than having a famous father, so I'm going to change their name. Let me see. Deb, which character from ELR would fit in best? So I've never seen an episode of Frasier. Do you think would last long as at the Barone household? Excellent question. I have to, hopefully someone else can answer that. Okay, here we go, folks. The canister, let's see what we have. Last week we had those beautiful bocce. Okay, never seen these. Okay, speaking of the opening to the Lincoln Tunnel, strawberry French tartlet. Has anybody ever seen these before? I have never seen these. I'm guessing a product of France, right? Isn't that the flag of France? Flag of France? Okay, here we go. Let me just do this for camera. Yes, here we go. Yes, there we go. That's perfect framing right there. Armella. Okay, we're going to run out of time, folks. All right. Oh, did I bring in a knife? How funny is it that I can't open a lot of this packaging? It's like the CDs in jazz records. Okay, here we go. So it has the feel. Oh, someone has pre-helped me. It has the feel of a Jammy Dodger in spirit, although it's strawberry. Okay, here we go, folks. Oh, I hope I haven't been doing manual labor. There it is. That is. So it's a bit. So compare. I don't need to compare everything to the gold standard of the Jammy Dodger, but it's got strawberry on top, so it's not as protected. So you can't just throw that in your suit jacket pocket like a Jammy Dodger. Okay, there we go. Love that lens. Here we go. Again, the front. So now I have to taste it. Come on, focus. There we go. Okay. There's nothing really to show. My keyboard, I'm going to have to vacuum my keyboard. Wow, those are super fresh tasting. Wow, I love this. Has anybody seen these ever? These are the Armella. Is that how you say it, folks? I'm backhanding this. Armella Strawberry French Tartlet. Wow. These are absolutely equal to a Jammy Dodger. Okay, let me just try one more to make sure that wasn't a fluke. So here is the problem I can see. Because it's so much unprotected fruit, they might stick together. Is that reminiscent of a strawberry with those, what would you call those? Those slight, divot is not a good word, but it has the surface of it emulates the surface of a strawberry. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So the etiquette people who are horrified that I just put that in my mouth, I'm protecting my keyboard because it's like a crumb fountain when I bite into these over my computer. I'm going to give that also an 8-9. I have to look at what I gave Jammy Dodger, though. This is where I'm going to run into trouble. That is really phenomenal. I really recommend that. All right, final things. We're going to have to say goodbye. French food. Gil, good luck, Annabelle. I hope your husband feels better. Over to Instagram for some final messages. Here we go. All right, I'm not going to spoil it by saying who won the game. Let's see this. Raymond's birthday. Yes. Phil Leeds also did an episode with John Ritter on Three's Company before ELR. Yeah, Phil Leeds did so many. There's nothing you would say about Phil Leeds that I would not believe. Tom, doesn't it? Okay. As a photographer, any fisheye lenses? No. I did not have. I had a 17 to 35. The fisheye is a 16 millimeter on a Nikon, and it's really wide. So yes, that I would have loved to. I was actually introduced to it by my cousin Mauro. Had a 16 millimeter. That's the first time I started shooting it, and fell in love with it. Okay, final questions. Here we go. Saying goodbye soon. Archives of American Television. Doris Roberts being interviewed. How she didn't get the part of Maude. Yes, she flew out from Ohio doing Broadway show, but a great one. Doris said the director or whoever that went to the hotel to let her know that she didn't get it. Yes. That's a great story. Here, I'll put it up again, and then anybody who watches this again will be seeing this. Let's see this. Too many things. Okay. Everybody, thank you. A lot of people I see chiming in answering questions on other pages correctly. I really, really appreciate it. I can only be in so many places. Don't forget, look for us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. What else is there? Go to the Long Island Museum of Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame in Long Island. You've got another year to do that. Keep writing your questions. If I don't answer them in the moment, I will try and answer them live here. There's a lot more that we'll get to. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. We will see you next week.